my first testimony, and I'm happy to be sharing it with you, and I hope many of you will be touched. My name is Lise, and some of you are my friends and you're listening and you're hearing this. And I hope that many people in my family will be hearing this and be touched. So I have many things to share because of what God has done in my life. I want to share miracles that happened to me. And I'm going to start when I was 6 years old. I nearly drowned. It was in March. I asked my mother if I could go with my brother and his friend. I didn't know where they were going. So anyway, we landed down a hill near the river, and it was in March, and there was still ice on the ice. So they crossed a barrier, and I went with them, of course. They were about 15 feet from me, and so I was further away, of course, and they started breaking the ice with their feet. Doop, doop, doop. So I started doing the same thing. I have to tell, my brother was 10 years old, his friend was 11 years old, but I was only 6 years old. And we were 3 children. So they were breaking the ice with their feet, and I started doing the same thing. And they said to me twice, Lise, don't do that, it's dangerous. Yeah, sure. Lise, don't do that, it's dangerous. So I remember thinking in my head, I'll only do it one last time and then I'm going to stop. But I didn't have time to stop because I went through the ice and the current swept me away. I have to tell you that I didn't swim. I was not afraid. I was not cold. I was like floating on air because I felt someone pushing me towards the hole where I fell. So I don't think it lasted very long, maybe 2 minutes. So someone pushed me through towards the hole, and I could hear them talking. And then when I got near to them, I lifted my left hand, and one of them caught me by the 2 fingers. But I slipped away, and I went back with the current. And I don't remember what they said, but that angel or whoever was pushing me in my back brought me back again toward the hole. And one of them said, "Oh, I see her, she's coming back." So I got my hand up again, and one of them caught me by the 2 fingers, and the other one grabbed my, whatever you call this? Wrist. And so they finally got me out of there. So I had a completely suit on because it was in March. And so we got out of there, we got on the sidewalk, and then they started taking their dry clothes off and taking my wet clothes off. And I asked them, "What are you doing?" And they said, "We don't want you to be cold." And I remember saying, "I'm not cold. I was not afraid, I was not cold." So anyways, they did that, and my brother knew that he was going to have a hard time when he got home. So we went up the hill home, and the neighbor put me in a hot bathtub. So I don't know if you realize this, but where my brother and his friend were 15 feet from me, the ice didn't break. They broke the ice, but they didn't fall through the ice like I did. When they came to help me, they were kneeling down at the exact same place where I went through the ice, and the ice didn't break again. So by the time they took me out of the water, as far as I'm concerned, that's 3 miracles. I was heavy, and they could take me out, bring me back to the sidewalk, and then we went up the hill and got back home. And the only thing I found out a few years later, that he got a real bad not licking, but my mother was very unhappy with him. So that's my first miracle. And each time I talk about it or I think about it, it's like, it's as though it happened this morning. Like right now, it's about 1:30, and it must have happened like between 11 and 12:30 that day. So I'm very happy that God saved me, because today I'm born again and I'm very happy. The second thing I'd like to talk about is a year later. That's why we moved, because we lived in Ontario and we moved on the Quebec side. At the end of the street where we lived, there was a place where there were statues and a place to kneel down. And I think I was the only one who used that grotto. I think it's called the grotto. I went there from age 7 to, I don't know, 12 maybe. At first it was 2-3 times a week. And then as I got older, I didn't go as often, but when I did go, I don't remember which statues were there. But I knelt down and I prayed, and because we had some strife and bad things in the household, in our family, and I was praying that God would stop the fighting in our house and the drinking. It took quite a few years, but He did do it. And in the meantime, well, I got closer and closer to Him. So I've always been, had a relationship with God since I was very young. The next one is not as joyful. Next testimony of what happened when I was 15 years old. I was sitting on my bed, in my bedroom, of course, and I don't remember if I just thought it or if I spoke it, but I was wondering about my future. And because I think I must have said it out loud, and I wondered, what am I going to do in the future? What does my future hold? Will I be married? Will I become a nun? Or will I kill myself? At that same moment, the spirit of suicide came within me. And I was stuck with it for 30 years. And I would have been delivered of that spirit of suicide sooner if a brother or a sister would have told me how to take authority. Well, of course, I'm talking about when we were born again. They should have shared verses with me in the New Testament about Jesus making me a brand new person. Because when we give our life to Christ, when we become born again, that's what happens. The old things have passed away and we become a new creation, a new creature. And even when, oh boy, I'm going to say it, but I don't know how solid I'm going to be without crying. Even when I got my daughter, I had my daughter in 1982. That was the worst time. That was my lowest point. I had decided that day, okay, I only have about 3 weeks to live. And I knew how I was going to do it. And I knew I was going to pass away for sure. But, and my daughter was right about 6-7 feet from me. She was only a year old. She had just started to walk. I could see her, but I didn't care. That's how dark my soul was. So, that was in 83. Because my husband and I were on the point of separating. And I figured, what's the point? what's the point of living in this life? What's the point of living on this earth? And not too long ago, after that, well, yeah, we separated, so I went by myself in an apartment. And a year after, I met my beautiful husband, Gaston. And then things got better and better and better. So the reason I didn't take my life 3 weeks after I said that was, I'm losing my train of thought. Yeah, it's because God took that constant nagging that I had from the spirit of suicide. I don't know how to explain it. He took it away because I completely forgot to continue in that line of thinking. It lasted for another, 28 years, but it wasn't as bad. I was just discouraged. But I thank God that I'm still here today, sharing this with you. So now I'd like to talk about when I made the wonderful decision of trusting God and being born again. I'm sorry for my voice. Gaston and I got born again. Well, for me it was August 1st, 1989. Something happened to him the week before, so I'll let him talk about that. And the proof that I got born again is the first thing that happens to a born again believer. Their language changes, because I'm sorry to be so blunt and honest, but I used to blaspheme more than a man. I was so angry, frustrated. I felt like killing people many times. So the next thing I knew, within a week, my language changed. I didn't curse anymore. I didn't blaspheme. So I knew something was happening in my heart. So around 2 weeks later, around August 15th, Gaston and I, we went, on August 1st, I think, we went to this first church in Gatineau, in Gatineau. And we had no idea. I don't even remember who told us to go there. She just told us, must have been his cousin. There are nice songs there, and there are many things nice that happen. So when we went, and people were raising their hands, and Gaston and I were in the middle, and we were looking at each other and saying, what's this, What are they doing? And then we heard nice songs that touched us. And then the guy was preaching in the front. That touched us too. So we figured, no, this seems nice, we're going to come back. So 2 weeks later, we did three churches, 3 services in the same day. One in the morning at 10, the one in Gatineau at 2 o'clock, and then we went to Buckingham at 6 o'clock at night. So we were really hungry for God and the Trinity, and we really wanted to know more, and that was a good time. And my daughter was staying with me, and so we brought her with us, and she made some friends, and she was only 7, I think, 7, about 7 years old. So that was nice. I enjoyed that. And we started talking of our experiences, our new born again experience with many friends and family members, but they wanted nothing to do with us. They mocked us, and but that's okay because we started praying for them, and we're still praying for them, and I just hope that they make the right decision before they die, because eternity is a long time. We're either going up or down. And the Bible tells us that when we put our trust in Jesus, we're going to be with Him for all eternity. So there's nothing like being born again. And when my daughter was 12 years old, she was started being angry and deceived. She didn't trust us anymore. And one day she comes to me and she says, I want to move in with Daddy. We lived in Gatineau and her father lived in Buckingham. And that was a bit of a shock. And I don't exactly remember how it happened, but she said, I talked to Daddy about it and I'm going to live with him, and he said okay. And because of her age, I couldn't stop her. So, and I know that one day, I keep confessing with my mouth, I thank you, Lord, that you're going to save my daughter. And I know that God is going to touch her and show her who He is. And one day, there's coming a moment, a day, where she's going to recognize that she should have listened to us. But I've only stopped being sad and crying about 3 years ago. But I forgive her, and I just hope that one day she'll forgive me, and that she'll be happy. That's all I can do. And I'm going to end with this. When we become born again, we must forgive ourselves first of all, and everyone else who has hurt us with words or actions. Then, after that, we must trust Jesus to guide us every day. It is good to read the Bible out loud and tell God that we believe all the words that are written in His Word. And then the blessings flow down from heaven. So I thank you for listening to me, and I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. God bless.